example number 3, convert percents to fractions and decimals. So now we're being given the percents. In the previous examples, we were given the fractions and the decimals. So slightly different approach on it this time. So today we need to change each percent to a fraction in lowest terms and also to a decimal. So 160%. So write the percent as a fraction out of 100. That's a good place to start. So it's 160%, which means it's 160 over 100. And if we divide both top and bottom by 10, that gives us 16 over 10. And we can reduce this even further as well. If we divide top and bottom by 2, 10 divided by 2 is 5. 16 divided by 2 gives you 8. So now we have 8/5. So now we can take 160 and divide it by 100. And to do that, all we're doing is moving the decimal over 2 places to the left, giving us a decimal of 1.60. So 160% then is equal to 8/5, but it's also equal to 1.60. Now you don't have to have the 0 there, but you can. So that is how you can do that. Let's look at another example. 0.35%. So we can divide that by 100 to find our decimal. So 0.35 divided by 100, we're going to move the decimal to the left 2 places. When we're dividing, it gets smaller, so the decimal gets put to the left. So that's going to be 0.0035. Now 0.35% is equal to 0.35 over 100. Let's see here. Actually, that's another part altogether. So looking at this, the 5 is in the 10,000ths place. So that means that as a fraction, you can put 35 over 10,000. This is similar to some of the examples we did previously. So if you've got, you can do it that way by checking the position, or you can multiply, you can write it this way and then say, okay, well, I can't have a decimal in a fraction, so I'm going to multiply the top by 100 to get rid of the decimal. Makes that 35, but if I multiply the top by 100, then I also have to multiply the bottom by 100. And when I do that, it becomes 10,000. So it becomes 35 over 10,000, just like we did here. So you can approach it from either angle. Either is fine. So 35 over 10,000, we need to put that into lowest terms. They end in a 5 and a 0, so they're not both even, but they're both divisible by 5. And your divisibility rules from grade 7 help you with that. So you can divide top by 5. 35 divided by 5 gives you 7. 10,000 divided by 5 gives you 2,000. Now 7 is a prime number, and it does not go into 2,000, so this is as reduced as you're going to be able to get on this one. So 0.35%, that was what we were originally given, is equal to 7 over 2,000. That's your fraction in lowest terms. Or you can do it as a decimal as 0.0035. Now, this box here is an aid for dealing with the decimal version. If you write in your 0.0035, it tells you the positions, tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So that's why we were able to put this over 10,000, because of that 5 sitting in that column. All right, next example, 8.5%. Workspace on the next page. So 8.5%, we can write that as 8% plus 1/2%. So it is a combined percent, combining 8 and then half. To find the decimal, we can write each percent as a decimal. So 8%, that's 8 over 100, or 8 divided by 100. So So that's going to give you 0.08. And then half is 0.5, but it's half percent. So you can say 0.5 out of 100 because it's a percent. So if you do that division, then you're left with 0.005. When you add those two decimals together, so you add these two decimals together, you're left with 0.085. So that is 8.5% as a decimal. Use the decimal to make the fraction. So 5 is in the is in the thousandths place. 10, hundredths, thousandths. So that means you can put 85 over 1,000. 85 over 1,000. So now we need to go to lowest terms. Again, ends in a 5, ends in a 0, so you can divide 5 into both of those. So when you do that, 1,000 divided by 5 gives you 200. 85 divided by 5 gives you 17. Now in this case, 17 is also a prime number, and it does not go into 200 evenly, so that's lowest terms. So 8.5% as a fraction in lowest terms is 17 over 200, and as a decimal, it's 0.085. Now, going back to the decimal version, this is one approach. You could break it into 8% and 0.5%, and then figure it out. But with this particular fraction, you know that 8.5 is equal to 8.5. And so 8.5% is equal to 8.5 over 100. So if that's the case, you can just do the division on that. And so 8.5 divided by 100 will take you straight to the 0.085, because all you're doing is moving your decimal over 2 spots. So that's a little bit shorter to get to your decimal, if you recognize this relationship. We're dealing in fractions here, so it can complicate it a little bit, but this exact example, it's pretty straightforward. So that is the example there. Next up is a show you know, again with another chart. We're given the percent. You need to calculate the decimal and the fraction. Give it a go.